I think in the eyes of everyone else, it was like, I'm pumping the brakes because I want to hit it off with Luann. It was just really bad timing. I didn't know anything about Luann. I'm just like, okay, cool. I know she's a big star. I'm going on Watch What Happens. That wasn't even in like, I just thought I was going to Watch What Happens with Luann. But
Right.
I had started pumping the brakes well before that Us Weekly interview. And then I think that it was all in good fun. Like me and Luann just hit it off, and it was just like a very playful thing. And then this is kind of my first experience of other people seeing me. I don't even think they're
like spotting you out, basically.
Yeah, I don't think they did. They definitely recognized Luann before me, obviously, but I think this is my first time with like my phone's like ding, 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 and like all these allegations are coming out, and Danielle's upset. I didn't care about like these false accusations about me. I cared more about how it affected Danielle. She's had a hard year too, hard for me. And so I was like, this is unfair. This is not true. And it was as simple as me and Luann. We talk about it a lot at the reunion, so I don't want to say too much. I think we should talk a bit more. I think the viewers, everyone should just go watch the reunion because it makes a lot more sense.
I want to gab. All right, today we're gabbing with Joe Bradley, star of Southern Hospitality, whose stellar second season is unfortunately coming to an end. Joe is an immediate standout on the Soho cast, and his star continues to rise within the Bravoverse. He was on Gabbing with Gabe at the beginning of the season alongside the rest of his castmates, but I'm excited to get some one-on-one time with Joe. So let's deep dive into everything, season 2, the past couple of months. Joe, it's always a pleasure. How are you?
I'm great. It's always a pleasure. Gibson, yeah, I feel like it's an honor. I finally made it to the main seat on my favorite podcast in the Bravoverse. So
wow, big accolades from right off the bat. I know you're trying to gussy me up a little bit.
Yeah. You ask any hard questions today?
Listen. All right, so Joe, I feel when I had you guys on at the beginning of the season, I asked you all the same question, which was who was the messiest this season, and a lot of people said you. Do you agree with that? How did you respond to that being sort of the common answer?
Yeah, I think it's like before when you asked me that question, I hadn't seen any of the episodes yet. And I think, the summer moves at such a fast pace, and with everything happening, I feel like I was having an amazing summer. And then it kind of just like went from a very high point for me to a low point. So after watching it back, I feel like I have to agree that I was messy without trying to be.
Inadvertently, right.
Inadvertently, I think I was coping with a lot of my issues with drinking and overexerting myself at work, and like all of my energy, I think I was kind of taking away from my friends, and I feel like they suffered from my debauchery and my poor actions. So you'll see in the reunion that I do attempt to make my best apologies, and I think when the viewers see the finale, they'll see why I need to make those apologies even more so than the other episodes.
Were those apologies well received? You probably can't tell me too much, but
yeah, there were. I think some were and some weren't.
Okay,
so
all right.
Yeah,
you tried. You're trying your best, and I feel like the running theme of this season has sort of been you caught between sort of Maddie and I guess Grace a little bit, but mostly Maddie and the rest of most of the group who aren't really hot on her this season. Like they aren't big fans of her right now. Is that still a balance that you have to strike to this day? Is that still sort of a divide for you?
For sure. I think like this year, like compared to any other point in my life, I feel like there was definitely a big line drawn in the sand. There was like team A and team B. I've never, and that's what's got me in trouble in the past, and it continues to do so. But pick a side, Joe, be a man, Joe. I really, in my heart, I'm not the kind of guy, if I have a best friend, unless they do me really dirty, I'm not going to abandon them and leave them on their own island.
Right.
So I think a lot of people question me taking sides as a loyalty thing or me being two-faced. But at the end of the day, I'm trying my best to be loyal to everyone. But sometimes when you get crossed, when you're trying to be in the middle of everything, you're going to get, caught in the crossfire, or other people are going to perceive you as not a loyal friend. And so that's what I'm trying to learn on. I think that's the biggest lesson I'm trying to
Right. I mean,
accomplish.
that's a tough lesson, honestly. And
Hard.
I mean, I feel like I'm the same way in that like you can be both, you can be friends with both sides, but I feel like it's hard when one side wants you to pick a side.
Oh,
Do you feel like Maddie or sort of like the Will Emmy contingent, like do either one of those sides want you to pick a side more than the other? You know what I mean?
yeah, for sure. And like it's a shitty feeling. Kind of I think that's when I snapped this shirt because I was overwhelmed. I felt like, I was a
Yeah.
puppet, like being dragged from both sides. And when you get back in a corner and you feel like you're, being tugged at from both ends,
Yeah.
I'm a cool, calm, and collective guy. I reached a boiling point, and it's really disappointing to watch myself act that way. And like a lot of it come off as I was like angry and jealous and all of these qualities that I've never expressed. I've never been the jealous guy. And I watching myself at Republic with Emmy's promotion, I'm like, I look like a jealous piece of shit. Like
Mm.
what am I thinking here? But I think it was really just me in the hot boiling Charleston sun and just not being used to, being in
Yeah.
yeah, being having such high expectations for my friends. I think it really got to me.
Right. And then on the Miami trip, you catch a lot of heat for apparently showing the group text that Maddie's not in. You showed her some stuff of people talking about her. And, again, Will, Emmy, and Bradley don't react well to that. What exactly happened there? Did you skip over things that you had said like they claimed, or was it just an innocent thing showing her? What's your true point of view on what happened with that group text thing?
Okay, so if you if there's a group text and people are talking about you, you automatically assume that it's negative things. Like
Right.
if like I had a group text with my friends in Charleston, you see like Gibson all over it, and you're not in that group text, you're like, what the hell? What are they talking
Right.
about? But then with our crazy friend group, they knew that, they hadn't been close with Maddie in a while. And this group of people that do talk a lot of shit, I've been guilty of it too. But like even I think Bradley says that like the main point of a group text is usually to talk some shit. And then
It's true.
I know I've been left out of group text. I think after that group text that got me in trouble, I think they made another one without me. So I'm like, God only knows what they were saying about me then. But
Okay.
I know that a lot of the things that we were saying or they were saying about Maddie were from like concern. Because even though with this group, even if we're talking trash about one another, it's really a lot of it's out of concern and it's really like out of love too.
Yeah.
Like I know if like they're talking about me in the group text or like, what the fuck is Joe doing? He's not, it's sometimes with like our personalities, when you talk trash, it is out of love. I do it with my family. I did it with my college friends, but when it's a sensitive subject like this, like what was Maddie was going through, that's when it can get really dicey and it can be not something you put down in writing.
Right.
And my intention with showing Maddie wasn't like, caught them talking shit. It was like, Maddie, other people care about you too. But Maddie took it the way that Maddie took it in like the angle where like, wow, these people are really out to get me. Cause I
Mm.
think Maddie felt alone all summer. And when
Hmm.
Maddie was crying to me, like in the back of Republic, I knew that most of those tears were just like about her feeling alone. And now I kind of feel the same way. So
Yeah. Oh, so you kind of feel a little bit backed into a corner too from the rest
I've
of them.
never felt this way. And I think that's why I
Wow.
acted out. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But now I can emphasize with how Maddie pops off all the time
Yeah,
too.
for sure. And then we see at the 10th anniversary party that you and Maddie both sort of feel some type of way about this Emmy promotion where you said that you basically trained her and she sort of skipped over you.
Yeah.
And, you know, I guess like walk me through that reaction too, because I think it's natural that you reacted that way, but also, they saw you and Maddie at the DJ booth and
Yeah.
things like that. So you didn't hide it, I would say.
No, I was sick of hiding it. And like, you know what? I think if you go back and watch the season, I'm Emmy's biggest fan. And if anyone knows me at work, I was the one that was actually trying to push Emmy to get promoted within her role as a
Got
VIP
it.
sales server. And, instead, like, it's kind of like the don't bite the hand that feeds you type thing. I feel like it wasn't her call to get that promotion as AGM, but the way she acted and she's like kind of waltzed in and she's like, I'm Joe's boss now. And that kind of rubbed me off the wrong way. She comes outside, starts ordering me around. I'm kind of like have been the leader to her so for like the Uno reverse
It was an
me.
immediate
Yeah,
reversal, right?
it was Uno reverse, and it was just like, all right, Emmy, if you're gonna act like this, like let's have a chat before, and then I can get on board. Don't come in 0 to 100.
Got it.
But I think everyone that understood, anyone
Yeah.
that knows me understood my reaction to that,
So
and it was,
have you talked to Leva about it?
yeah, I talked. I think you'll see. I think
Okay.
the viewers will actually see that I do talk to Leva, and even that when I talked to Leva, it was my frustrations were more so I don't think Emmy is in the right position. I don't think that was the right promotion for her or the company. I think Emmy should have got promoted, but I think it should have been more so about like a sales VIP.
Got it.
Like me and Emmy have been partners in crimes, and like her promotion is more like the rules girl. And Emmy has no experience in management. She's not the rules girl. She wants to go be with the people partying and be with the sales like what I do. And I just
So you're a supporter for moving up, just
yeah,
one step at a time, basically, in
yeah.
your
And
eyes.
like
Okay.
yeah, and we're just like in the right direction. You're not my
Yeah.
boss. Like we're equals. I would love
Okay.
to be equals with her. I think she deserves a promotion, but I
Yeah.
don't think she wants that promotion either. And I think
Okay.
the viewers might see that a little later on.
Interesting. Okay, Joe. So you and Danielle of Summer House hit it off at BravoCon, and it was kind of like a whirlwind situation. It seemed like you were visiting each other a lot. You know, you were talking about it. I mean, I interviewed Danielle sort of in December, and we talked about it. You did some interviews, talked about it. Where do things stand between you and Danielle now? I'd say like kind of 3 or 4 months later.
Yeah, so I think some of my best memories, like since I can remember, have been like start of BravoCon, coming up here to New York, her visiting me, and it was just like a lot. It was so fast and so passionate that I just think it's kind of overwhelming for me with everything else going on. I just don't think I'm in like a position as a 28-year-old
Hmm.
guy that works at a nightclub to be the caliber of man for Danielle Olivera, who is just like I think ahead of me in life in a lot of ways.
Hmm.
As far as like maturity, where she stands in her career, and I'm like in this tiny old quaint town in Charleston, and she's like running laps in the big city like she's always have. And I think that's one of the reasons I was so infatuated by her. I'm like, I want to be with someone like Danielle. I just don't think I deserve Danielle. I don't think I don't think at this stage of my life I'm the right guy for her. So I think it was best for us to just kind of end things on good terms.
Hmm.
I plan on seeing her
Oh, good.
plan on seeing her this week because like I do consider her one of my closest friends. And the last thing I want to do is just like hurt her. I'm like, who knows what will happen later on, but like
Right.
maybe like the right girl at the wrong time is the right way to
Hmm.
put it. But I adore Danielle, and I can't think of a single negative thing to say about her, but I can think of 100 negative things to say about me right now.
Oh my God.
Why I'm
but
not?
but
Yeah,
but from your perspective, it was an amicable sort of parting of ways.
for sure.
Okay.
I think it was amicable. I think both of us kind of knew it was definitely like mutual. I think we both knew it was time, but we didn't want to like let go because we do have strong feelings for each
Yeah.
other.
Yeah.
And that sucks.
Yeah, yeah, totally. I mean, and you live in different cities, and you know, you did this interview with Us Weekly sort of a couple weeks ago where you said, you know, you were kind of pumping the brakes, and you had moved to, you kind of expressed these sentiments a couple weeks ago too. But then there was this whole thing with Luann, who you were on Watch What Happens Live with.
Yeah. That
Talk
was
what happened there from your perspective?
yeah. So I think like at that point, like a week before I did that, in the, I think in the eyes of everyone else, it was like I'm pumping the brakes because I want to hit it off with Luann. It was just really bad timing. I didn't know anything about Luann. I'm just like, okay, cool. I know she's a big star. I'm going on Watch What Happens. That wasn't even in like, I just thought I was going to watch what happens with Luann, but
Right.
I had started pumping the brakes well before that Us Weekly interview. And then I think that like, it was all in good fun. Like me and Luann just hit it off, and it was just like a very playful thing. And then this is kind of my first experience of other people seeing me. I don't even think
Like spotting you out,
yeah, I
basically.
don't think they did. They definitely recognized Luann before me, obviously, but I think this is my first time with like my phone's like ding, 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 and like all these allegations are coming out, and Danielle's upset. I didn't care about like these false accusations about me. I cared more about how it affected Danielle. She's had a hard year too,
Hmm.
harder than me. And so I was like, this is unfair. This is not true. And it was as simple as me and Luann. We talk about it a lot at the reunion, so I don't want to say too much. I think we should
Okay.
talk a bit more. I think the viewers, everyone should just go watch the reunion because it makes a lot more sense when you look at
Okay.
that.
But it was, there's misunderstanding in there.
For sure.
It's not as it was reported in terms of the timeline and stuff. Yeah. I think a lot of people figured that, but
Yeah.
it's
And
good to hear you
it
say
makes
that.
it makes you realize I think a lot of things in like the world with, the big TMZ and all these articles coming out, timeline is very important, as we all know.
Yeah.
And they'll tell you some juicy things, but they won't always tell you the timeline. So
Yeah, totally, totally.
I
And
think
that's a big, I mean, from your perspective, it's like, again, you have this, your star is growing in this world, and like that is a big thing to deal with, is like, oh shit, like I can't be in a hotel lobby hanging out with another person and it necessarily being taken innocently or interpreted correctly.
I go from being at Republic where everyone can find me. I'm in like in the
And you know that. Yeah.
yeah, and so I'm used to that. I'm not, I don't see myself as a star, but now that it's just something I have to get used to.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. No, that's, I mean, and that's, I'm sure that's a tough thing to get used to, but
yeah.
again, this is, I think you were put through you were put through the ringer for the past couple weeks. So I'm guessing you learned something from that experience. Yeah, I don't know. And you obviously you filmed the Southern Hospitality reunion. I've heard it was quite heated and kind of big drama at this reunion. How do you feel coming out of that taping?
I feel like I need a therapist. No, seriously,
Andy wasn't enough.
no, Dr. Phil. It's Andy then Dr. Phil, but no, Andy did a really good job of feeling like we've known him for years, and like he always does, is
Yeah.
mediating a crazy friend group. I think if it was, I think he was the only guy that could like be in between us and like get us all to take turns talking. Because I think the more heated a friend group is, the hardest thing to do, especially with our friend group, is like taking turns and hearing each other. And you can kind of see that when in the finale, it's like
Hmm.
hard to even have like a logical conversation with these people sometimes. But I think the reunion did a lot of positive things,
Okay.
but it was very hard. It was like I've never had like that much stress within 1 hour in my life, probably within like
Mm.
my friends. So it's going to be very interesting for people to watch. It was so fast paced. It's going to be interesting to watch it back for me. I haven't seen it. And I just think everyone should buckle up and prepare to see everyone at their best and worst.
Right.
We all
And
look great, I think, physically. But
and you and O'Sheen were fast friends. And I feel like that relationship ruffled some feathers with some of the people in the group, particularly Will, and sort of just how quickly you guys became close.
Mhm.
Are you guys still close? And is that still like a point of contention for other people in the group?
Yeah, I do think I never like to say anyone would ever be jealous of a friendship. I think that's like a little lame. I think you can
Yeah.
be upset. I understand if Will was upset because I was kind of spending more time with him during when Will was going through a hard time. But we're all going through hard times. And what I love about O'Sheen O'Neill is that when I'm hanging out with him, I forget all my bad times. But like that's also like not the most healthy thing to do.
Mm.
I think I do regret not, spending more time with the people I've known for years. But I mean, me and O'Sheen hit it off. We're like, all right, let's go out. Let's take on the town. Let's go. So there's things I regret. There's things I don't. But me and O'Sheen are still very close. But I think I need to do a better job of balancing all my friendships.
Yeah. Well, it's also, there's something to be said about sort of the phase of life and kind of just situation that you're in. Is like you and O'Sheen are, I think, are in a more similar situation than Will, who just started law school, doesn't live in Charleston anymore, and
Yeah.
he's in a relationship. So it's that you're in different situations. So I think that's a natural thing that happens in friendships, but you also want to fight for the friendships that you care
Yeah.
about. So it's a tough balance.
Yeah, and that's like it's been a really big hard pill for me to swallow. Like, and you can relate. Like, we both went to Michigan. Like,
Hmm.
all my whole friend group. Like, I was just used to like our fraternity all being buddy buddy and no drama, all best
Yep.
friends. But then, I moved down to Charleston. They moved to Chicago, New York, LA, and it's like it's always been a really hard pill for me to swallow of like losing friends and not like keeping up with them. So I'm sure you had to deal with that as well.
It's an adult. It's like the hard.
Areas.
I think it's one of the hardest adult problems to overcome, because it's just, you have to admit that you're growing up in at different stages of life as somebody else that you really care about.
it scares me, and
Yeah,
that's what
me
I
too.
think that scared me about Will leaving as well. Even though
Yeah,
he's an hour and a half, it wasn't like so he was moving away from Charles. It's like we are going in different career trajectories, and
yeah,
it
yeah,
sucks, you know.
yeah. Okay, Joe, we have time for one last question. And I guess like again, we'll see the in the reunion in particular sort of where things net out. But do you feel like there's hope for you to kind of reignite friendships with everybody in the group? Is there anybody who you feel like it's past the point of no return, or do you feel hopeful about your individual friendships in this group?
Yeah, I think I feel hopeful. I'm always, a huge optimist, like, champagne glass half full kind of guy. But
There we
like
go.
I I just think it's gonna be like people are gonna watch the reunion and kind of have that same question. And I think there's a few people that I don't know if I could fully trust right now, but I don't think any of my friendships are so far gone that they're irreparable. They might never be the same, but I want to get back to being like the glue in this group, not the jackhammer. I want to be that
Yeah.
guy that's like, yeah, we can all be friends, but I'm realistic too, and I just don't know if like all of them are going to happen right away. So
Yeah.
we'll see.
Well,
What you just asked, the question you just asked me is what I think about when I'm laying up at night or in the shower. So
season 3, Joe Bradley won't be the messiest one in the group. He'll be the connector. You know, and
that
I feel like you're a connector and just naturally. I think that's kind of your MO.
totally,
So
yeah,
anyway, Joe, thanks for taking the time and congrats on a great season. I know it's not the easiest, but it
yeah.
was a great season. It really was.
Thank you, Gibson. You're the
Yeah,
best. I appreciate you, and
of
I hope
course.
to see you out in New York.
Yeah, totally. Thanks. I want to gab.